morning, this is Dick Zondig, the Garden Doctor, and this morning we're going to talk a little bit about succession planting. We're in the middle of July, and there's another opportunity to get vegetables in the fall by planting them in mid-July. The way you can do that is to go to the Old Farmer's Almanac and put in your zip code and then put in the search first and last frost date. And from those dates you can determine how many days you have until the first frost comes. And so I did that this morning, and it looks like the almanac said between the 2nd and the 5th of October, which gives us over 60 days of planting. And so what I did is I went back to the catalog and I looked at the number of days to maturity. And so here are some of the vegetables that you can still plant and expect to get a crop. Early cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, early cucumbers, leaf lettuce, peas, radishes, spinach, zucchini. And if you're looking for some flowers in the fall, you can even plant zinnias right now, and you'll get nice tall spikes of flower. And the last one is Swiss chard. So what I did was I went into the greenhouse in early July, late April, early July, and planted some of the cole crops, because what we're going to do is we're going to plant some of those today. And what happens with the cole crops is they like cool weather. And so what we're going to do is we're going to plant them today and get them established, and hopefully the cauliflower will have a beautiful head in the fall, and we'll look at it in the fall. And the cabbage will have a nice head of cabbage. I think I put some kale in there also, so we can have some leafy greens. You can see from the way my cabbage and broccoli are, broccoli is ready to, this broccoli was planted in late April, and so it's starting to head out. When you cut that head out, you just leave the plant there, because then it'll throw side buds and you'll be able to cut small spears of broccoli all along until the fall. But we're going to plant some new ones so we get that nice large head in the middle. So one other thing with carrots, when my kids were small, we lived in the other house, we planted carrots in July. And when it started to get cold outside, we put hay and straw over them, about 12 inches of straw, because the mulch tends to keep things the way they are. And so that kept the frost out of the ground, or very little frost. And then in January and February, we also put a roll cover, the white roll cover over the straw, so we could get at the carrots, and we'd go through a foot of snow, and there were the carrots. And so we had fresh carrots in the middle of winter. So maybe that's something you want to try with your kids. So let's get started planting. I have the plants spaced out. We'll show you how we plant them, and then we'll come back after we get the whole row done. You don't have to space them too far apart, because they'll grow together and they'll be just fine. So I'm planting the kale first, because that's the first ornamental thing. So you just got to dig a hole. Take the kale out of the flat, put it in the ground, and cover it up like that. So we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've reached the last one. I planted them about a foot apart. I've got cabbage, kale, and cauliflower, and you'll love the cauliflower. It really does well when you fall plant it. So now the plants are in the ground. I'm going to mulch them with straw to keep the weeds down, to keep the moisture in, and they should produce very, very well, kind of like the plants right next to them. So the cabbage, kale, and cauliflower are planted. Now we're going to go with one row of carrots right next to these. So I'll prepare the row and then we'll come back. Another vegetable that we can use for succession planting is carrots. I chose a variety of carrots called Yaya, which is a 60-day variety. And so what we're going to do, again, I use the seed tape because that's the easiest way and the most uniform way of getting the carrots out of the ground, because you put it in at the same depth, and I think the paper holds the moisture around the seed so it germinates more uniformly. Now, I don't put radishes in the summer like this because the carrots will come up quite rapidly. So what we do is we put the end of the tape where you want the row to start, you cover it, excuse the weeds. Take the second part. There are 3 5-foot tapes in each of the packages. So we let it unwind, stick it in the ground, anchor it. Because I don't want to waste any tape, I will double it back a little distance from the first row, so I get a double row on the back. Okay, so we have the carrots planted. Probably going to plant a row of lettuce, but we won't show you that. But this is how you plant a row of carrots for fall crop with succession planting. So, as I listed in the first part of the video, there are lots of vegetables you can do this with. Another succession plan is when you get done with a certain vegetable, like if you planted radishes and they're all done, why not plant a second row of radishes, or maybe a row of carrots or something like that. So not only if you've got a space in the garden that you're not using can you do succession planting, but if you've harvested a crop and you want to use that soil again, use it with succession planting. So this is Dick Zondig, Young Garden Doctor, wishing everybody a very nice fall crop of vegetables.